All right, more or less, this is what we're gonna do. Good morning, beautiful people. All right, I'll walk down here where it's a little less tractory loud. All right, so today, basically I got a building project that is not the current building project that I'm currently building. We need some more garden space, and we're actually going to, today I am going to tackle a project that we've talked about doing really since we built all of this garden area. My original design for this garden space was I was going to put in terraces, and we were gonna farm the hill. Because it's a hill, hills do what hills do. If there's no like large vegetation, trees, bushes, grass, you have erosion. It's just the nature of gravity and things like that. So what my plan has been for a while is I was going to build some sort of retaining wall system, sort of. Think of like beds for growing stuff, but as they're also working as like a retaining wall. I've thought about doing cinder blocks, I've thought about doing more milled lumber like I built these beds out of, but the case with the milled lumber is it is not pressure treated, it is just natural rough cut wood. It's gonna rot. And so where these beds up here, we got about 3 years out of. I had said a while ago when I built them, if I can get 2 years out of them, I'll be happy. So I've gotten what I wanted out of them. I'm just gonna have to start replacing some of the wood as it's just turning into soil. It's rotting, like it's doing what nature does. These beds, most of them are doing pretty good, but I had milled this lumber a lot bigger, and I had charred it with a weed burner, and that Shoshugibon seems to really preserve the wood well. I just don't think I burned them enough because I'm starting to see places where there's like mushrooms and stuff like that. So, all that aside, what I'm gonna do in here today is I'm going to bring in some logs, and I'm going to basically place them and make terraces. They're kind of sort of retaining walls. I'm gonna anchor them with some more logs, and then we'll basically fill the void with dirt, and then we'll basically have some shelved terraces, stuff like that. This should be fun. It's gonna be kind of tight in here, having these garden beds and getting the tractor in here to where I can, you know, maneuver the logs, but I think it'll be okay. None of the logs I'm using are crazy big. Now that the tractor's warmed up, I'm gonna head down. I'll show you my stash of logs that I've got. It's been kind of cool. I made a relationship with a local tree service, and they're bringing me logs and wood chips, and it's just like, it's like Christmas every time I see them. So let me grab the tractor and we'll head down there. All right, so down here at the front, I've got a massive pile of wood chips and a massive pile of logs. Most of this is like oak, maple, I think there's some sweet gum, there's some tulip poplar, kind of a mix of everything. A lot of these are just like branches and stuff like that, large branches, but they wouldn't be good for me to mill into lumber. So I'm gonna use the whole logs. I came down here with Meg yesterday and we were kind of talking about our plan for adding onto our garden. And there's logs in here that they're too big, they're crooked, just things like that. So I'm going to grab the logs that I think will work and I guess haul them up there. There's also smaller logs. I'm gonna probably put the auger on the tractor and I'm gonna use these logs as posts to stop these big logs from rolling down the hill. I may anchor them further if I feel they need it, but I have a feeling a 9-inch post is probably gonna stop these from moving. Let me figure out which logs are the easiest to get at first and I'll grab those. All right, more or less, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a level to figure out how far back I'm aiming for between 3 and 4 feet. I think that's about how much it'll stack out. Because the hill kind of, you know, slopes off a little bit more. It's hard to tell on camera. More or less, this is what we're doing because this isn't a very far drop on the hill. Corbin's got my big level. I'm going to figure out where that needs to go, and roughly that's where it'll be. And then the next one will be an even bigger log, and then I may get one more log. It just depends. I need to leave room to get the tractor through right here. Otherwise, I have to drive all the way down and go below the barn. So, we'll see. All right. Now for the next one. This is a 4-foot level, so there's level. I'm gonna need a log about that big. That's a big log. That's like a little more than a foot. So, let's go see what we can find. That's about the right size. That's gonna be heavy. Yeah. All right, so the boss came out and did a walkthrough, and she wants bigger beds.
Well,
so
I mean, 3 feet is okay if you want to leave it at this, but if we can do 4, then
I've got bigger logs.
Okay,
we
cool.
can go big.
Cool.
Bigger.
Yeah.
That's all right. Like I'm a visual person. I needed to get some logs up here and actually look at it, and it's like, yeah, I don't like 3 feet.
Yeah, it's a little tiny.
But she came out and furrowed up her eyebrows before I even turned off the tractor. I was like, I need bigger logs. No big deal. I can actually use these logs somewhere else. Honestly, the one on the top is probably fine. I think it's just this one.
Yeah.
That end is fine. The big end is fine, but it kind of tapers down to, I don't know, maybe like 8 inches.
Yeah, trees do that.
Yeah, they do. I do have some monster logs,
You
so
do.
I will go grab, I'll get this one out of the way, probably scoot it down that way, and go bigger.
Cool.
All right, story time. So this is a family heirloom pry bar. Might be easier just to pick it up with a tractor and scoot it the 6 inches I need. So this pry bar, Meg's grandpa gave it to me. I have borrowed this from Meg's grandpa for 20 years, off and on. If I needed a pry bar, a big heavy duty truck bar, I'd go get it. Well, one time he told me the story of how he came to own said pry bar. Her grandpa, I think you were with him.
That might have been.
It was like a family vacation. They were in the RV, the motorhome, driving down the highway, and this thing fell off of a semi in front of them and goes bouncing down the road right in front of them. Well, he said he kind of veered over just a little bit to avoid it, and he said he felt kind of a bump. He's like, okay, cool. I just ran it over, no harm, no foul. Well, they got to the beach or wherever they were going for their trip, and this thing was stabbed through the RV. It missed all of the vital things and was just sticking. It's a wonder it didn't come inside the cab where it was at, but it was just stuck in some, you know, like the fender and stuff like that. He said it was a absolute nightmare getting it out, but he said after he got it out, he has used it for all sorts of things over the years. So one of the last trips that they took before your grandpa passed away, he brought this pry bar, and here you go, it's yours now.
Passed it on.
So I feel very, very lucky to have this pry bar. It's got a cool story. That's probably good. Let me see the eggs. Wow, you got a lot of eggs, and it's not even noon yet.
I know. She collected those all by herself.
Got a couple of my holes punched. I still need to punch a couple more up there, but that log is all kind of squiggity, so it's not wanting to roll down the hill, whereas this one is. So I'm gonna go grab some smaller logs to plant as posts. That way I don't have to worry about that log rolling down the hill and me having to get in here and pick it up and put it back. So I'm gonna head down to my log pile and grab a couple small ones, and then I guess I gotta go get my chainsaw fired up. Ha-ha! That's a big post. Might have to trim that. We will.
That post is basically the same size. Good enough size.
The weird things you find when you're digging holes. So generally nothing has really grown on this hillside aside from, you know, some grass. Topsoil, what I thought was the topsoil, is real poor. Well, as I started digging this hole for this post, it's actually quite rich. This was the stuff that was on top, you know, bright red, and this was what was on bottom, dark brown, with charcoal in it. So I don't know, maybe as I build beds right here, maybe I'll just dig down in some spots and bring the dirt up and see if it's richer. Probably what's happened is, as we've had rain and erosion, it's happening down here where we drive up and down the hill. Basically the, you know, sandier particles wash down on top, lock everything, like lock all the nice dirt that's underneath, cover it with sand and clay, and now you have a really hard cap. That's probably what's happened here. Because I can tell you right now, like, that looks like our garden bed dirt, and that was like a foot down. Pretty good topsoil. And the fact that it's got charcoal in it, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if there was like a burned stump that was right here. Maybe that's what was going on. But anyways, I thought that was interesting. All right, now I'm not worried about that thing rolling down the mountain. Those are like 2 feet to the ground.
Yeah.
I'll grab the chainsaw, lop this off. I've got to shorten this one a little bit. And then that one I'm gonna probably, I could use that one. That one's a little bit big. I may save that one for the next one. But I need one more log. Got my first bed section in. Well, I got to plant 2 more posts up for the top one, but that's a little log and it's a banana. But this is ready. I've actually, as you guys saw in our last video, I've got plenty of compost to put in these beds, and it's not going to take a whole lot of compost. It'll just be really cool to like get these in. I'll probably bury some logs this way to kind of cap them to keep the dirt in place. But I'm excited. This is cool. All right, I'm gonna go in and eat some lunch and then get back at it. All right, that was a good lunch. Let me stand in a spot where the wind is broke. It's gonna be kind of hard to film and talk to the camera because we've got a pretty good breeze today. So I hope you guys can hear this. All right, we discussed it over lunch. I am actually going to, I'm gonna do beds, you know, the whole length of the garden. But for today, for this video, I'm just gonna single out what we've already got. I'm gonna get those done and get dirt in them. Hopefully I can finish this project today, get that all kind of wrapped up, see how it's gonna look. I could do all of it, but I think it's gonna take a couple days. We'll just see. If I get this done really quick, then I'll move on and start doing the rest of them. But I wanna kind of figure how much more I need. So we're gonna get down here and get to digging. Wow, you guys are like really
Working hard.
working hard.
We're walking fast.
Oh yeah, very fast. Twice the shovel movement. I'm gonna go grab some compost.
Okay.
I'm gonna get the pig compost for the bottom because it's full of worms. It's some really good stuff.
Right.
And then I'm gonna grab the chicken compost for the top because it's a lot finer and more garden soily.
Yeah.
Wow, that's still composting. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's steaming and it's like 80 degrees outside. All right. We got 2 more garden beds. Those are probably about 12 feet long because that's an 8-footer and they're like, maybe it's a 10-foot beds. This is growing space that we did not have this morning. So I'm glad we singled out and just worked on this today. It's getting on up towards dinner time and my neck has had enough of being in the sun. I'm very sunburned. I can see the pink on your shoulders from here.
It's really bad. It burns.
She's safely under the shade on the golf cart, just out of the sun. Yeah, the sun's rays have been pretty intense today. I can feel it on my 5 head right here.
It's so good.
It does feel good. Today, like 2 days ago, the weather was hot. It was like 80 some odd degrees, what, yesterday?
Yeah.
That was pretty miserable. Like I didn't want to be outside sweating. But today, like last night, we had a thunderstorm blow through, it rained, and it just kind of broke the weather a little bit. So it's cool and crisp. These are the days of spring I'd live for. Like, I've been out here all day. I've barely broken a sweat because it's been so just comfortable. There's a nice breeze blowing. It's been honestly wonderful. Back to business, back to the task at hand. We put the pig compost in the bottom, and I'm glad we put that stuff in the bottom because as I got into the middle of that pile, it just stinks. Like, it doesn't smell bad, it smells like pig pen. It is what it is. It is really full of worms and stuff like that, so they're actively breaking it down. They can continue doing that here. And then we topped it off with some nice smelling, wonderful looking chicken compost. When I got it out of the chicken compost and piled it up, I ended up mixing all of the woody stuff that was on top in with everything. So I imagine as this sits here, we'll just kind of move the woody stuff out of the way. I will probably amend this heavily when we go to plant in here, just because all of this compost is not as done as I would like it to be. And honestly, my initial plan with all of the chicken compost anyways was I was going to screen it all and get all the big chunks of wood out and put them back in the system. But I kind of jumped the shark on that one. All that aside, I'm very glad we have a couple more beds. This looks really cool. I imagine those logs will last a little bit longer than milled lumber. I have wanted to do this since we put in all of this garden. This is how I envisioned it, is just having terraced beds everywhere. And now we're starting it. So we'll just chip away at this project, but this is a great start. We're actually gonna wrap it up right here. Go inside, maybe drink a cup of coffee and stay out of the sun for a little bit. So we will catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Can you guys see?
Bye.